All right, so good evening. We are picking up Amir Hashem on Nun Hamad Days 55a, and I believe we left off with Amr Rabbi Yitzchak Ein Ma'amidin Parnes Latzi. We actually read this line on Thursday, but we'll pick up from it again. It is 2, 4, 6, 7 lines up from before the lines get wide. So Amr Rabbi Yitzchak Ein Ma'amidin Parnes Latzibor. So Rabbi Yitzchak says as follows: we do not go ahead and appoint a leader on the tzibur, on the community, unless, of course, you first ask the community. So again, remember, we began this discussion on Thursday, a really incredible and profound idea. You can't appoint a leader on the community unless, of course, you first ask the community his permission. Shene Emar, Re'u, Kara Hashem b'Shem B'Tzalel. So this is beautiful. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has chosen B'Tzalel. Now, as we'll talk about in just a little bit, B'Tzalel was the architect of the Mishkan. So Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, LeMoshe. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe, Hagun Alecha B'Tzalel? This is beautiful. So Hashem says to Moshe, Moshe, tell me, are you happy with B'Tzalel as a choice for the architect of the Mishkan? Amar Ribono Shel Olam im lefanecha hagun lefanai lakol shekein. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, Ribono Shel Olam, if it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. Amar lo, Hashem said to him, Afa pikein lech emar lahem. Nevertheless, Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe, Moshe, go and discuss it with the people. See if the people are happy with the choice. So what happened? Halach v'amar lam Yisrael hagun aleichem B'Tzalel. So Moshe Rabbeinu goes to Klal Yisrael. Says, Klal Yisrael, are you happy with B'Tzalel as a choice for the architect of the Jewish people? So Amru lo im lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu lefanechu hagun lefaneinu lakol shekein. So Klal Yisrael says, Ribono Shel Olam, if it's good enough, more Moshe Rabbeinu, if it's good enough for you, and it's good enough for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, certainly it's good enough for us. So even though, again, it sounds strange to say that you should ask Hashem if B'Tzalel is good after Hashem, or ask Moshe, ask Klal Yisrael. So you see from here that whenever appointing a leader upon Klal Yisrael, you have to ask the rishus of the collective. And Moshe Rabbeinu? Yes, it could be that was like it's almost as if there was no one to ask. Right? If you think about it, there wasn't like an organized Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael Mitzrayim. I'm saying they were slaves. So I just don't know, like, you had to start somewhere. So Moshe Rabbeinu was like the person who led us into peoplehood. There was no nation to ask before Moshe Rabbeinu, I think. By the way, there's a simple logic to this also. The simple logic to this is that if you want the leader to be effective, the constituency has to be bought in, right? If the followers aren't bought in, so the leader is not going to be effective. Beautiful Gemara. Okay, Amr Rabbi Yonasan. B'Tzalel Hashem Chachmaso Nikra. So a very, very beautiful Gemara here. So B'Tzalel was called B'Tzalel because of his wisdom. Now, what does this mean? He says, B'Sha'a she'amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Moshe, first of the widest lines. At the time when HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe in the following, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu say to Moshe? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. Leich emar lo B'Tzalel, asali mishkan aron v'kelim. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe, go tell B'Tzalel to make for me a mishkan, an aron, and utensils. Okay, so halach Moshe v'hafach. So Moshe Rabbeinu, this is actually fascinating. Moshe Rabbeinu went, and Moshe Rabbeinu actually changed the order. He changed the order. So if you notice over here, Hashem says to Moshe, go tell B'Tzalel to make me a mishkan, that's the structure, aron, the ark, and utensils. When Moshe goes to B'Tzalel, he switched the order. What does he say? V'amar lo, aseh aron v'kelim u'mishkan. He asks B'Tzalel to make an aron, a kelim, utensils, and the mishkan. So B'Tzalel, Amar lo. So B'Tzalel says to Moshe, Amar lo, Moshe Rabbeinu, minhago shel olam adam bone ba'aser achakach machnes l'socha kelim. He says, Moshe, the general derech is, first you build the structure, first you build the home, and then you put the utensils into the home afterwards. V'yata omer aseli aron v'kelim u'mishkan. And Moshe, but you're telling me to make an aron, to make the ark, to make the utensils, and then make the structure. Kelim shani oseh leheichan achnisem. The utensils that I'm making, where should I put them? Shem akach amar l'chadosh baruch hu. So this is interesting. So B'Tzalel says to Moshe, Moshe, maybe Hashem gave you a separate set of instructions, and maybe Hashem said to you, Aseh mishkan aron v'kelim. Maybe ultimately, again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to you, make a mishkan, aron, and kelim. So in other words, so B'Tzalel was mechavi, and B'Tzalel understood that Moshe Rabbeinu probably had changed the order, and that Hashem said to make a Mishkan, Aron, and Kelim. Amarlo, Shema, B'tzel, Kel, Hayisa, V'yadata. So Moshe Rabbeinu says to B'tzalel, maybe you were in the shade of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's interesting, the Gemara says that B'tzalel is a contraction to literally mean in the shade of God. In other words, that Moshe Rabbeinu was saying to B'tzalel, you must have been, lurking there in the shadows, and you heard what HaKadosh Baruch Hu told me. Now, it's interesting to note, so why did Moshe Rabbeinu switch around the order? Right? In other words, it's interesting, because Hashem did tell him, build a Mishkan, Aron, and Kelim. And then Moshe Rabbeinu said, Aron, Kelim, Mishkan. So why does Moshe Rabbeinu place the Aron first? So it makes perfect sense. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu's entire life was about Torah. That was his entire life, his entire essence, right? Even his name, right? You don't call him Moshe HaNavi, right? Or Moshe HaMelech. We call him Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe's entire essence was, he was the one who brought Torah down from Shamayim. He's the one who taught Torah. So in Moshe Rabbeinu's mind, it's almost as if everything automatically gravitated towards Torah. So when it comes to the creation of the Mishkan, the first thing that Moshe Rabbeinu, his mind goes to is the Aron. That's the first thing. That's where it gravitates towards. The structure, everything else, that's secondary. B'tzalel, it's interesting. B'tzalel has a more practical approach. And B'tzalel is like, no, it's not the way it works. First you need a house, then you have the Aron, then you have the Kelim. Also are very, okay, more to say on that, but we'll save it for a different time. This is beautiful. B'tzalel knew how to go ahead and combine the letters in the way that they were used to create heaven and earth, and was able to manipulate those forces to create new realities as well. Ksiv Hoch, it says over here, Vayimale also ruach Elokim bechachma ubesvuna ubedas. So the pasuk says that B'tzalel was filled with ruach Elokim, the spirit of God, chachma, svuna, and das. Ksiv Hasam Hashem bechachma Yasad Aretz Konen Shamayim Bisvuno Ksiv Bedaito Tahomos Nikvu. So you see the same expressions of knowledge and wisdom that are used by God when it comes to the creation of the world were also used by B'tzalel. All right, beautiful. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu no sein Chachma el mishi yesh Chachma. This is a profound Gemara. Rabbi Yochanan says the Rebbe only gives wisdom to someone who has wisdom. Now, what does that mean? In order to get wisdom from God, you have to possess wisdom already, which makes sense. In other words, a person who doesn't possess wisdom means they don't value wisdom. So if you don't value it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to give it to you. Whereas if you value it, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that you value it, the Rebbe will give you more. Shneimar Yoav Chachmasa lechachimin uminada liyade bina. That literally again he gives wisdom to the wise. So the Gemara says Shamar Rav Tachlifa bar Amra Kamed Rabbi Abo. So Rav Tachlifa heard this and he said over in front of Rabbi Abo, Amar le Asun mehasa masnisalo. You learn this from that source. Anan mehacha masninallah. We learn it from a different source. T'chsev ubelev kol chacham lev nasati chachma. That literally, again, in the heart of every wise man, I've deposited more wisdom. It's a really beautiful Gemara, ultimately highlighting this idea that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives wisdom to those who already possess wisdom, which is also very interesting. In other words, if you want something from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you really have to be working on it yourself. Right? Sometimes we sit back and we expect HaKadosh Baruch Hu to shower blessings upon us. The Moshe says, no, put in the effort, do the work, acquire some of it on your own, and when you get started, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, then I'll add on. Amr Rav Chisda, it's very beautiful. Amr Rav Chisda, Kol Chalom Velo Tavas. So literally translated, better to have any dream, but not a dream about fasting. Not a dream about fasting. Rashi says over here, Kol Chalom Velo Tavas, Kol Chalomos Yira Adam. In general, any dream you have is fine. So Rashi says, however, Lo Yira Echad Me'osan Shu Shari B'Taina She'eno Tov. Apparently, having a dream that you're fasting is a bad omen. It's a bad omen. So have any dream that you want, but not a dream about fasting. So Rav Chisda said that a dream that has not been interpreted is like a letter which has not been read. Okay, Rashi says over here, Ki garta d'lo mikra, lo tov v'lo ra, shekala chalomos holchen achar apitara. So we'll say we're going to talk about this more. We're going to get now into the sugya concerning dreams and the power of dreams, the profundity of dreams. So there's a school of thought that says that a dream always goes after how it's interpreted. Now we'll discuss what that means on a deeper level. On a most basic level, it could also be like self-fulfilling prophecies, that if a person thinks they had a dream and the dream means something, often they'll make their decisions in order to fit into that pre-established construct. So the Gemara says, a dream that has not been interpreted is like a letter that has not been read. The same way that if the letter hasn't been read, so ultimately, again, the contents are unknown. Because the contents are unknown, they can't really impact you. So to a dream that has not been interpreted can't impact you as well. From Rav Chisda, lo chalma tava mekayim kulei, v'lo chalma bisha mekayim kulei. Any dream, so if you have a good dream, not all parts of it will come true, and a bad dream, not all parts of it will come true. Now, what I want to point out over here is we're going to see that there are two schools of thought. There's a school of thought that says dreams are meaningless. Totally meaningless. They don't have any meaning to it, right? It's a projection of your subconscious, whatever you were thinking about that day, or so, right? And then there's another school of thought that says dreams are very meaningful. But even in the school of thought that says dreams are meaningful, everyone agrees that every dream has parts that are meaningful and parts that are meaningless. So the Gemara says over here, Lo chal matava mekayim kulei, a good dream never comes fully true. V'lo chal mabisha mekayim kulei, and a bad dream never comes fully true. From Rav Chisda, chal mabisha adif mechal matava. So this is very interesting. Rav Chisda says a bad dream is even better than a good dream. I will say, how could a bad dream be better than a good dream? So Rashi says something so profound over here. Why? Rashi says, Shemevi esa adam lidei tshuva. A bad dream could motivate a person to effect change in their life. Right? We've all had dreams like that. Or sometimes you can have a dream that is so jarring, right? That is so troubling, that is so upsetting, that it actually spurs me to act. That's powerful. That's powerful. In other words, rarely does it happen that you have a really good dream and it causes you to change anything in your life, right? But sometimes a very bad dream could be a jarring awakening for a person and ultimately cause them to do tshuva. So if Chisda says something amazing, if Chisda says that sometimes when a person has a bad dream, so sometimes, again, the sadness that he feels has the power to negate anything negative in the dream. And conversely, when a person has a positive dream, the joy that he feels, sometimes it's the joy itself that is the reward, so to speak, of the dream. Amud Yosef, Chal matava afilu lididi b'dichusa mafchislei. So he says over here, so Rav Yosef says, Rav Yosef was blind. Rav Yosef was blind. So Rav Yosef says that at the end of the day, right, when I have a good dream, the laughter that it gives me, that's also meaningful. In other words, the little bit of, sometimes I will say, even if you say that a dream doesn't necessarily have any type of prophetic import or something like that, but a good dream, the happiness that it gives you, feeling happy for a little bit of time in life is also good. There's also a reward in that. So we'll say, so sometimes again, a bad dream can be even worse than lashes. Lashes again will impact the person physically, but sometimes the residual impact of bad dreams could be even worse. Okay? The Gemara goes right to Hanavi asher ito chalom yisapra chalom asher divrei ito yidaber divrei emes. Mala taven asabar nu'um Hashem. V'chima inyan bar v'taven eso chalom. Why does the pasuk mention wheat and chaff by a dream? Ela amar b'yochanan mishra b'shem b'yochai kishem she'efshar lebar below taven kach i'efshar lechalom below dvarim b'telim. The same way that wheat always has chaff mixed in, so too every single dream always has things that are nonsensical that are mixed in as well. Amra Berachos, Chalom afapish mitzasum iskaim kulo elim mitzayim. Berachos says a dream, even if part of it is fulfilled, the entirety of the dream is never fulfilled. So in other words, going back to what we're saying before, every dream has parts of it that'll come true, or can have parts of it that'll come true, but there's always unnecessary or nonsensical parts. Minalan, where do we know this from? Dichsiv, mi Yosef. We know this from Yosef. What happened by Yosef? Remember again, in Yosef's dreams, Yosef dreamt that the sheaves would bow down to him, the stars would bow down to him, and included in his dreams with the fact that the sun and the moon would bow down to him. Now, who did the sun and moon represent? Sun represented his parents. Amud Beis, Vahishaita ime lo habas. Now you see from here, even though Yosef's brothers, the stars and the sheaves, ended up bowing down to him, the sun and the moon, right? His mother was dead. So because his mother had passed away already, obviously, again, that never came true. So you see from here, and here's an example of a dream that did come true. So Gemara says, even if you go with the idea that dreams have some type of prophetic importance, it's important to understand that every dream has pieces of it that are, what's the right word? Yeah, not even false, just filler information. In other words, that it's not meant to be taken literally. But again, perhaps it rounds out the image, but is not going to come true. Incredible. Well, so you know what? We'll stop. Let's go one more line. Amar Levi. So Amar Levi. The Olam Yitzhak. Actually, I'm also going to stop with it tonight. Okay, I'll pick up over here tomorrow. Shkoyach, everyone.
It's not only your own.
So correct. We're going to talk about that as well in the Gemara Mir Hashem. Yeah.